Hello, YouTube. It's been a lot going on the past couple of days, and been busy in the garden, been doing some mulching and things like that. Got about 2 loads of mulch put in the garden between the beds, and the beans are up on the other side, and just got a lot going on. I thought I'd talk to you a little bit about planting and PLANNING rather than PLANTING. When you plan your garden out, there are lots of things to consider. Um, a couple of things. The first thing to consider is really what you want to plant as far as what your family is going to eat. What do you like to eat as far as vegetables go? My brother sent me a thing saying that I'm not planting any steak in the garden, and he's right about that. But there are some things that you can plant that you would like to eat. One is, you look at what you're eating now and then go through and find out what you can order that will grow in your particular area. So, first thing is find out what you like to eat and lean towards those particular things. The second thing is look at what will grow in your area. Look at in every seed catalog, there's the zone, whatever planting zone you have. In our area, we're planting zone 8/7, depends on what you look at. In Virginia, it's more like 6/5 because of the elevation and the cool air. But the planting zone really will tell you your first frost and last frost, and then also the types of temperatures you're dealing with. It would be like if I had tried to plant corn a month ago, I wouldn't have been able to. It wouldn't have survived because the soil was too cold. And now it's. In fact, I'm going to try to plant it either today or tomorrow. But look at what you've got as far as your growing area and what you can grow. Cowpeas and such like that in the south. Your cold crops and lettuce and onions and things in the north will do much better than they do in the south. So look at what you grow in your particular area. And then once you find out what you want to plant and what you can plant in your areas, then what you need to do is really look at your garden and see which areas and which beds you want to plant. If you're doing raised beds like I am, I have my beds numbered, and I'll show you my little log that I use to log out the garden. But you find out what you want to plant where. There's some rules to this, and it can get pretty complicated. One thing that I want to look at first is sunlight. What plants need the most sun, and which plants can tolerate a little bit of shade, and plan my plants according to that. If I have a plant that's going to be real tall, then what I'll do is I'll plant it at the back of the garden so that it won't shade out anything else. This is one mistake that I probably made in this garden is I planted the blueberries kind of in the down sun center area, so they don't shade out much, but they do shade out one bed. So that's what I usually do is I'll plant crops in there that don't mind the shade. So it works out okay, but you have to plan for it. But plan for your sun. Plant your tall crops towards the north side, your lower things on the south side. And then once you figure out how you're going to do that, then you can look at going ahead and getting things in the ground. You want to plant some things you want to plant in succession. Like I'm going to plant corn either today or tomorrow, and what I'll probably do is I'll probably plant 4 short rows of corn. This is going to be sweet corn. And then what I'll do is in 2 weeks I'll plant 4 more short rows of corn, and then 2 weeks after that I'll plant 4 more short rows of corn. And the reason I do that is because corn has to pollinate with itself, so you need 4 short rows so that the plants can pollinate with each other. And then what you also got is you've got a situation where I can't eat, we can't eat all that corn that's produced by 12 rows of corn. So what I'll do is I'll stagger it, so I'll have corn coming in and corn coming in and corn coming in. My dad jokes with me that I want to make sure that I don't feed the raccoons all at once, and that's probably true too. But you can do that. Time your crops out. With the beans, I planted butter beans, and then I'm going to plant about the same amount of butter beans coming in. There's some things you want to come in all at once. With tomatoes, there are 2 types of tomatoes. There's what we call determinate and indeterminate. Determinate tomatoes will come all at once, and it'll be a bushy sort of crop. I've planted some of those because what I want to do is those will be our canning tomatoes. The other tomatoes that we want continuous throughout the summer are more vine-like, and they're the indeterminate tomatoes. So what they'll do is they'll produce and then keep producing and keep producing and keep producing. So as far as planting those, I want to plant the the determinate tomatoes, so they'll come in at a time when I don't have everything else coming in. If I have beans coming in and tomatoes coming in and everything else, then we're going to be swamped with canning and picking and such. So we want to space it out a little bit so that we can manage our crop a little bit better. The other thing that I'm looking at is follow-up crops, and in this case what you want to do is you want to follow a crop with a complementary or companion sort of crop. I've planted potatoes and tomatoes in the same bed for 2 years straight, and it's time for me not to plant tomatoes there anymore. The reason is the Solanaceae, which is the family that the potatoes belong to, is also the family that the tomatoes belong to. So they're both in the same plant family, and they take the same thing from the soil. So therefore, I want to alternate. This year I'm going to put string beans probably in those beds that I've had tomatoes and potatoes in. And what the string beans will do is they'll replenish the soil with nitrogen and be good for the soil there. The other thing I want to do is at the end of the growing season for the summer, I want to go ahead and plan my fall crops so that I can put some of the fall crops in. Like if something comes in August, I'll go ahead and I'll plant English peas, the green peas to come through in the fall. I might also plant some spinach that'll grow all winter long. The trouble is spinach doesn't germinate when the soil's real hot. But I may want to go ahead and start some broccoli in the ground for fall broccoli. So you want to follow whatever crop you have in the summer with a crop that may grow in the fall. And that way you can make the most out of your garden. What I'm looking for down here in the south is probably 3 crops per bed, in that I can have a spring crop or a winter/spring crop, and then a summer crop, and then a fall crop, and those sort of things. And that way you really do get the most out of your beds, but plan accordingly. So when you plan, look at what you want to eat. You can look at your sunlight and planting accordingly. You want to plant in succession so that you get the most out of your garden, and also make sure that you plant for your region and your area. The last thing I want to mention, and this is something I probably should have mentioned if I had started this during the wintertime, is get the seed catalogs out and peruse through them and see what you've got there. Some of them are really, really informative. I get one catalog, and I don't get any benefit from mentioning them, but I get one from Johnny's Seeds up out of, I think they're out of Maine. But they have some of the most informative information in the catalog about how much to plant to produce this or that. And it's just a very informative catalog. Because it's so informative, I feel obligated to order a little something from them. So, and I do. But I get some of it from our local catalogs, Park Seeds real nearby. But I also get from, Young, Burpee, the seed distributors at your local area too. The place where I got my mulch the other day is actually a local garden center, and I got the mulch by bulk. And in there they sell all sorts of seeds and such that most of our local gardeners grow. So it's nice to have somebody who's familiar with the local plants that are grown, and then something that's going to grow in your particular area. And the good thing too is I can go to them, and they're great about giving me advice about what to, when you plant that, you might want to watch out for this and that and such. So go ahead and get the plants in the ground. Enjoy gardening them and watching them come up. Everything should be coming up about now or starting to. And we're seeing the same thing here. So enjoy it. Enjoy eating that you produce. And if you have any questions or comments, please send them. And I look forward to hearing from you. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.